I'm so close to the airport. Speaking of which, this is the Denver airport. I don't know if you've ever seen those conspiracy theory videos, but they're pretty cool. Definitely interesting, to say the very least. Such an awkward topic. It's hard to even begin, especially without being considered a loony. I suppose one could blame my father for all my originality and deep interest in, you could say, the occult, the Bilderberg, the Vatican, the Federal Reserve Bank, Rockefeller, Rothschild, which also led me to other things that I enjoy studying, like MKUltra, chemtrails. Oh man, how about Edgar Cayce? I've also always been a fan of Nostradamus and multiple other outside of the box realms. I also have an acupuncturist who has also deeply encouraged my, what he calls, seek for the truth. And I'll also say that there are tons of conspiracy theories that are somewhat gaslighting, that just are meant to distract and also take away from the other ones. But the more you do your homework, the more you can learn. Now, there's two people I would encourage you to listen to, two of my favorites, one being Michael Tazarian. I'm such a huge fan of his work, and I'll be honest with you, some of his, I don't know what you would really call them, maybe podcasts, or basically where he just talks consistently, seminars, presentations, they're about an hour long. But think about how much time we spend on the internet, or even watching useless movies, really. It's definitely more worth it to me to actually feel like I'm learning something and to learn some history. He definitely goes back in time. I especially like his understanding of our vocabulary. And the second person is Jordan Maxwell. His stuff is quite fascinating. And now, I'd also like to bring some attention to websites like Snopes. You know, people rely so much on the internet and Wikipedia to debunk things without doing their own research, like Pizzagate being one of them. You know, I like to point out and say that, like, let's say I'm the bad guy and I'm creating all these bad things in the world and I have an endless means of income. Would I not pay off Time Magazine and multiple other outlets to gaslight and to take attention away from said circumstances? But nobody wants to hear that or talk about that. Let's just turn a blind eye and act like spirit cooking doesn't exist, and that there's no pedophiles and there's no subliminal messages being programmed into our mass media, and that there's no global agenda to all make us think the same. Or how about that there's no energy? I mean, there's tons of things that they just try to take away from us. I like to, I suppose, say sacred knowledge. Things that have been known for generations and have been used against us. Another great person to study is Edward Bernays. A lot of people don't seem to know about him, but do your homework on that guy and then you'll understand how marketing is working today and how billions of dollars are being spent to basically take advantage of us. There's also other things like the Georgia Guidestones. Many people like to turn a blind eye to those or just think that it's silly, but it is on my agenda to travel there and film them for myself. So if you're a fan of all this stuff, I highly encourage you to go ahead and subscribe because I promise you I'm going. I'm not sure when. Perhaps I can do a GoFundMe, if you will, where you can PayPal me or use one of the links below to kind of fund it, the gas and wear and tear on my vehicle and all that good stuff, eating, whatever costs go into traveling there, especially since at this rate I'll be going by myself. Now, another place I'd like to go is Virginia, where the Edgar Casey ARE is. But I've heard rumors that things are not the same there and that they are also basically trying to keep a lot of information away from us. Obviously with the intention of control, which somewhat seems alarming for people. But I guess you can say, why wouldn't it be alarming to really wrap your head around all the things that are happening? You know, another experience that I've experienced, I know it sounds silly, but, so as you know, I've kind of put myself out there. I've used my real name and I've been in the social media since I was maybe 13, 14, 15, and I'm 25 now. And in the process, I developed what traditionally is considered a cyber stalker. And truth be told, I call him my jigsaw. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have drastically changed my life. When I was 18, I thought I wanted to be a Playboy bunny. Not knowing that, you know, they slept with everyone. And the other side of the spectrum. And by creating that kind of content, I quickly learned that the people I was drawing closer to me was not really the people I wanted to be surrounded by. But now that I've gotten older, you could say that I've generated an understanding of what that has to do with my path. Now, back to my guy, my jigsaw. He worked for Anonymous, and he really enlightened me more than ever. And he did some harassment type things to me, which honestly at the time I almost was turned on by, because I was so excited and fascinated by witnessing the conspiracy theories, if you will, come to life. Now this one relates to where, I don't know if you've heard, some people have, some people haven't, how we are being watched. And there's multiple ways we're being watched, we're being listened to, we're being documented. And it is also said that it is at our free will, and a lot of it is done through our cellular devices. It's reading our iridology, if that's even the correct terminology, or basically when our eyes get bigger when we see certain ads, so people or organizations like Facebook know what to advertise to us more. But he did this thing to me where he would turn on my camera. He would do it on my laptop, and he has also done it on my cell phone, my iPhone. And there's no way of you knowing it's turning on. There's also ways that there was no light on, you know, so you couldn't tell. But he could also turn on the microphone on both the iPhone and the laptop. And he created multiple outlets, like Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts, and would, send me little messages that just were basically reiterating the things that I have said. And there are no way for him to know these things. He also knew a lot of personal information, honestly, like some of my self-destructive tendencies in my youth, and the health situation of my family and I. And he also knew our social security numbers. He knew my dad's middle name. There was all kinds of things that just was a trigger and an awakening point for me to continue my journey. before I had gotten involved with all the sacred sexuality, if you will. And talking about these things have never been easy, especially when so many people get whacked or assassinated by talking about these things. And another thing is, I've witnessed for myself and my own family where my uncle was actually kicked off of the Broward County Police Department because he wouldn't downgrade a murder to suicide. And they do this all the time, by the way. So that way, you know, the community has a higher standard. And there's multiple things going on like that in the opposite realm too, like where people are murdered but they're staged to look like suicides or sudden deaths. There's a lot of other things a lot of people don't want to talk about, like how about that Malaysian plane that disappeared? Nobody also wants to talk about how the plane was basically filled with AIDS researchers. They were all going to a conference. I mean, there's so many things that I could talk about in these things. And I could just go on and on and on and on and on. But unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to upload this video from my cell phone anyway if I kept rambling on because there is a limit. So I will have to continue this later.